Welcome back, everyone. Great to be with you once again. Excited for opportunity to connect to the great light of the Zohar together. Our desire is always to connect to the tree of life reality, to overcome all aspects of our limited selves, to connect to our limited selves, awaken more love. That the Zohar is a manifestation of love, to do everything we can to connect to this light, to reveal this light within ourselves and the world. All the problems in the world are just a result of separation, or just a result of superficiality, meaning not getting into the depths of our soul. And connection to the Zohar awakens our connection to our soul, which is pure love, and awakens more love in the world. So let's meditate that through our study, we can accomplish another degree of revelation of love, helps change us, helps change the world. We meditate to connect directly to the light of Rabbi Shimon Yochai, to reveal this light, to experience a transformation through this process. We read the prayer of the Ari to open up our hearts, reveal this light on completely new levels. ריבון העולמים ואדוני האדונים אברך ומסתכל מנמנח לפניך אדוננו ולבדנו כי דב שגרת לתורתך ולעבודתך ולתורת הקודש ונתת לנו לחלק בסודותיך הקדושה מענמך שעשיתם עליך סגת כזה. על כן אנחנו מפילים תחנונים לבניך שמחו ותסלח לכל חטאינו ואבותינו ואל יהיו עוונותינו מפלילים בינינו לבניך וכן יוצא מלאך לבנינו נתנו שתכונן את לבבינו ליראתך ולעבודתך ותקשיב אוזנך להיג'נאל ותפתח לבבינו הערה בסודותיך ויהיה למדין זה נחת ולפני כיסאך בדרך כך ניחוח ותעציל לנו כל נשמתנו וכל מחייתנו ושיתנוצצו נצוצות בדרך הקדושים אשר איידם גלית לדבר אחד בעולם וזכותם 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 יעמוד לנו למען קשור ויתרום אלו וזכותם תרננו ממה שאנו לומדים כמאמן עם זמיונות ישראל גל לנבא ביטל נפלא משמעותך כי אדוני תן חוכמה מפיו דעת ותבונה יהיו רצונים לפי רגלים לפניך אדוני צור בגואלי. So we are on paragraph 76. We're speaking about, Zohar is introducing the concept of the love that and affinity and connection that Jacob had with Joseph, and the love the Creator has for the Israelites and for Israel, and the judgments that we are protected from. And the Zohar mentioned in paragraph 75 that there are 3 times of the day where there's judgment, and the Creator gives us that a person should know what those times are and be given with they should be aware, should be careful, should protect themselves during those times, not to be affected by the judgment. So now the Zohar is going to go into those 3 moments of judgment. Now, heads up, there is a good amount of commentary of Rav Ashlag here, which means there's a lot more depth, and the more I have studied and tried to prepare this section, the more questions I have, and sometimes the more confused I get. So we're going to do our best to at least go through on a simple level what Rav Ashlag is teaching here. I'm not guaranteeing, as always, I'm not guaranteeing everything I'm going to teach is 100% as Rav Ashlag meant to teach it, or as Rabbi Shimon meant to reveal it. I'm going to do my best to explain it, and as always, when we get back to it in 15 years, hopefully, when we get back to Vayeshev on the second round, I'll be able to explain it better. Someone else will. So let's begin by reading the Zohar, and we'll go step by step. So it says, begin the Halkad Salit Safa. So now the Zohar is going to start to go into what are these 3 aspects of judgment, 3 times of the day of judgment, but we'll see that we're not talking necessarily about physical time, although you can align it with our day, but it's talking about the energy that is revealed at different times, the progress or the sequence of light revealed. And in those moments of light being revealed, or the process going on, there is awakening of judgment, which is necessary, as we'll see. So in the morning time, Avraham ita ba'alma, the energy of Abraham is awakened in the morning. Now, my understanding here is that this is again, this could be wrong, But this sound, because we'll see from the Zohar says, it talks about the first 3 hours of the morning. So this means that the time of Abraham is before the first 3 hours of the morning. The first 3 hours of the morning begins at sunrise. So this would sound like it's talking about dawn before sunrise. So at that time is the energy of Abraham. We'll explain what that means soon. And it attaches, holds on to the judgment that is attached with him there. And in the beginning of the 3 first hours of the day, which means from sunrise in the first 3 hours, it doesn't necessarily mean, 3 hours, meaning 60 minutes 3 times. The hours are split, divided by the hours of the day. So between sunrise and sunset, you split that time into 12, and that's how long every hour is. So anyway, so it could be, 180 minutes. It could be 150 minutes in the winter. It could be, 210 minutes in from sunrise in the summer. Depends. Either way, but we don't want to get too much into the practicality of it. Right now we're speaking about sfirot and everything, but either way. So in the first 3 hours, natil dina matre, judgment. Here it says judgment is driven from its place. Okay. Le'at ara baby Yaakov, to be awakened within Jacob. Ad mincha, until the time of mincha arrives, which is the afternoon prayer, which is usually half an hour after midday until sunset, which is the time of judgment of the day. The judgment goes back to its place, returns back to its place. And judgment from below, the judgment below is awakened. The lower judgments are awakened. To attach, to connect to the judgment above, to the upper judgment. Then when the judgments are attached one with the other, then you need to be careful. So what is the Zohar talking about here? Now again, I'm not going to guarantee that this is going to make it easier to understand. In difficult sections of the Zohar, I like to remember that it's not about what we understand, it's about the light that we're receiving. And by the way, this isn't necessarily a very difficult section. It's just you need a lot of background information. Once you have it, it's probably very simple. There's a lot of background information I'm missing, and therefore this seems less understandable. But either way, let's go into it. So Rav Shimon begins by explaining when we're talking about the day, the judgments of the day represents Zeir Anpin. So we're right now in the frame of Zeir Anpin, which is called day. Now these 3 times represent the 3 columns of Zeir Anpin. And each one has its own specific judgment. So we're speaking about Abraham, Isaac, and Jacob, Avraham, Yitzchak, and Yaakov. And we're speaking now about the right, left, and central column of Zeir Anpin. So what are these 3 columns of Zeir Anpin? They come from what are called the 3 sowings, the 3 plantings, called Cholam, Shuruk, and Chirik. In the prologue and in Bereshit Aleph, the Zohar went into a lot about this, speaking about creation, because this is the formation of the cause of Zeir Anpin and Nukva. So a lot happens in Binah. We'll see the judgments. Malchut elevates to Binah. The letters of Aleph, Lamed, Hey fall down. We're going to read it, but this represents the formation of the cause of our worlds. Okay, so obviously it's not gonna be something we easily will understand. We have to go through the process. But either way, so these 3 aspects of the 3 columns of Zeir Anpin are rooted in these 3 processes. So these are 3 vowels: cholam, shuruk, and chirik, which corresponds to right, left, and central column, and the process that is involved in all of them. But again, these are not vowels. They represent a process or something happening in the spiritual realm. So the first judgment, we talked about 3 judgments of Zerampin, 3 judgments of the day. So the first judgment is what happens when the Malchut elevates to Binah. And when Malchut elevates to Binah, the 3 letters Aleph Lamed Hey of Elokim, they fall down, they go down, and the letters Mem Yud of Elokim remain there. And that results in the upper 3 Sfirot in that frame to be lacking. And so there's the first judgment. The fact that the upper 3 Sfirot are lacking, that's called the judgment of the Cholam, of this level, of the right column, which is the right column of Zerampin, which is called Abraham. Okay? Whatever we understand, don't understand, just know it's expanding our surrounding light, and our desire is through transformation. The Creator will reveal not even necessarily what is talking about, but the light that we're supposed to reveal from here. The second judgment is the time, so the next process is when Malchut now comes to a state of Gadlut, of greatness. Not exactly, actually. Then when Malchut, the greatness of Malchut leaves Bina, we said in the first judgment, Malchut went to Bina, and then that's what caused the letters to fall. Here, now Malchut leaves Bina, and these 3 letters that fell return back to Bina, which basically allows for Bina to be reconnected to Arich Anpin, and it receives the upper 3 Sfirot once again. But here the problem is, greater light is revealed, which means the light of Chokhmah is revealed, the light of wisdom is revealed, but the light of mercy, the light of Chasadim is lacking. So even though the light of Chokhmah is revealed, it's in a concealed state, which represents the aspect of judgment of the left column. So we know that the Shuruk is the left column judgments. Okay? And that's related to Isaac. This is what's called the revelation of the light of Chokhmah, light of wisdom, which is a left column light that is very high light, but it needs to be balanced with the light of mercy. Then we come to the third judgment. What happens in the third judgment? That's what's called the chirik. That's when now Zerampin and Nukva, the male and female, lower male and female, they elevate there with the masach of chirik. Masach of chirik always represents the central column, the curtain representing restriction. And this is what brings peace between these 2 sides, the right column and the left column. It's what brings balance. And this represents this masach, this curtain, is the secret of the Vav Tzavot that comes from the Manula, which is the lock, and then it becomes perfected in the secret of the Maftecha, which means first no light can be revealed, and then light can be revealed. And that's this masach of. Okay, we'll leave that for now. But that's what the chirik is. Okay, now again, I'm just basically reading and translating, but this is what's called Jacob, and that's what's called the lower judgment, the judgments below, which the Zohar referenced before. So now, Rav Ashi is going to break down the paragraph of the Zohar based on this understanding. We're going to go through it a little quickly so we can move on to the next part where we might understand a little more. So, when the morning begins, we're saying maybe that's the time of dawn before sunrise. That's the right column. That's the cholam. That's the energy of Abraham. That's the right column of Zerampin. And it unifies with the judgment. We said it attaches to the judgment, that's what's called the masa. It represents the upper 3 sfirot that are missing, and it represents an aspect of lack, aspect of judgment. Because the Malchut went into Binah. Because Malchut is this level of lack. When it entered Binah, Binah also lost some of its status to build the Malchut. And when these 2 judgments, when the aspect of judgment was awakened in the Cholam, then all the light of Zer Nukva, all the Mochin leave. And so in the first 3 hours of the day, that's the time of unification, where now we talk, so we normally talk about right column, left column, and central column. But here the Zohar is explaining that the day, if you split it into 2 parts, if you think about the first part of the day as the right column, Mincha, the afternoon, as left column, in between the first and last part of the day, you have the central column, which is Jacob. So we're saying the first 3 hours of the day, that's when we said Jacob comes in to balance out the energy of the right and left column. So we think of it, we can think of the day as right column, central column, and left column in terms of the sequence of time and the balance of the day. So in the first 3 hours of the day, that's when the energy of Jacob, the central column, that's when the chirik, this masach of chirik is awakened, that balances out the energy of Abraham and Isaac. And there, that's when these two aspects are included one within the other, when there's a balance between right and left column, then the judgment of the cholam, the judgment in the first aspect of Abraham, the first aspect of the cholam, where again the higher levels are missing, then it goes down and receives now its highest level, which, as we said, is unified with the left side. Okay. And then so the time of Jacob, which we said is the first 3 hours of the day, balances out the energy of Abraham and Isaac. And then until the time of Mincha, the time of the afternoon, which is the time of Isaac, comes. And what happens then? Then because in the morning time it was just the right column, and Isaac's portion, the left column, was canceled out. Comes the central column to balance out the energies, and now the part of Isaac can exist. So that's the afternoon time. And now what happens is in this level, because there's no light of chasadim, then there is no light being revealed. And that's what's called the awakening of the judgments below. It represents so because now that the judgments return, let me go back to the paragraph of the Zohar. So we said because now these upper and lower judgments come together, and now because judgment has returned, that's why it's important that afternoon time to guard ourselves, to protect ourselves. Okay, so in the morning time and in the first half of the day, there's no energy of pure Isaac, right? There's no energy of pure judgment. That only comes in the afternoon. So while there is, and that's why the kabbalists do certain, right? The Zohar says you have to protect yourselves at these 3 times, and that's why there are prayers that are set up at these 3 times, right? The most powerful time to pray is actually to do what's called the Shema, as we've learned, to do the Shema right before sunrise. Because at the moment of sunrise, that's the judgment. That's when the decree of the day happens. And when if you do Shema before, you can change any decrees, because then at sunrise, that's when the day starts. And that's why the prayer of Shacharit, the morning prayer, happens right after sunrise, because you've already removed the judgments before sunrise, and then you have the energy of the central column restriction right after sunrise to balance out the energy. I'm not happy with how I've tried to explain this, and I hope that the effort is good enough. I don't think it is, but either way, we're going to move on, and we're going to go to paragraph 77. 2, furthermore, kadina ita b'alma, when judges awaken the world. So now the Zohar is going to speak about a 4th aspect of judgment. The first 3 we spoke about, there is a level of protection. There is a way to balance it. It is part of a system. It is part of a process that is going on. And that's a process that we are part of. But now the Zohar is going to speak about another aspect of judgment. When there is judgment in the world, umata ishtakach b'mata, and there is death in the city, right? Think about a plague, God forbid, right? Think about our lives in 2020 and 2021. A person should not go out alone in the marketplace. You should not be out and about. And we've learned this before. We've explained this in the portion of Noach. A person should close themselves off. A person should protect themselves. To close themselves, the la'ipok levan should not go outside. As we explained in the portion of Noach, and that's what happened in the whole process of of building of Noah's Ark, de'asga gamei b'tevota, that he locked himself in the ark, to not be found, to not be in the presence of the angel of destruction. So what was the point of building the ark? He wasn't just building an ark, a boat to float on the water. It was actually the way that he could conceal himself, protect himself from the judgment that exists in the world. So the Zohar teaches, as we've learned before, when there is judgment in the world, it's important to not be seen, because when an angel of destruction has permission to destroy, it doesn't matter what merits you have, that destruction can come to anyone who's present. So now here Rav Ashlag explains the first three judgments that we spoke about. These are in the aspects of three columns of Zerampin. And in that point, it's just a matter of not awakening the left column from above to below, meaning it's not to attach yourself to the left column. But in this fourth level of judgment, it's not a question of anything you can do. It's just you stay away from it. You protect yourself, and you're not around that judgment at all, because this fourth level of judgment is called the judgment of Malchut, of the Nukva. It's the harshest level of judgment that you don't deal with. It's like the pure judgment of the tree of knowledge reality. There's no protection from it. You just have to stay out of sight. And that's why, and that's the secret of what happened with Noah. With Noah, what did he do? He went in the ark, because the only way to protect yourself is to not be seen by the judgment, which means not to touch any aspect of light. The only thing to touch, Rav Ashlag here beautifully says, the only thing you want to be in contact with during times of intense judgment in the world is what's called the Or Chasadim, the light of mercy. The only light of mercy, the only light that the negative side cannot touch is called the light of mercy. And this is also a very beautiful understanding as well. Rav Ashlag says here, and the Kabbalists speak about this, it says there's a story of what changed Abraham's life. What brought Abraham to live his life in pure chesed? He heard a story from the children of Noah. He asked the children of Noah, what merit did you have to be protected in the time of the ark? Meaning, it's not just that you had a boat. The boat could not survive in a natural sense. It doesn't make any sense. What allowed them? What was the merit that Noah and his family had to survive the judgments at the time of the flood? Shem, Noah's son, told Abraham, it was the chesed that we did. It was the tzedakah, the acts of charity and kindness that we did in the ark. And Abraham said, well, who'd you give tzedakah? There's no poor people there. Who'd you give charity to? He said, no, we spent for an entire year, 24 hours a day, just taking care of the animals. The chesed, the sharing, the care for the animals, Noah's son told Abraham, is what brought us protection. That was the whole merit why Noah and his children survived the ark, survived the flood, was only because of the act of chesed that they had. Why? Because when you act with light of chasadim, Rav Ashlag here reminds, Ki ein shum achiza l'sitrach be'od chasadim. There is no attachment at all. The negative side cannot even touch the light of chasadim, the light of mercy. When you awaken light of mercy in your life, when you share, when you act with kindness, when you awaken this great light of chasadim, negativity can't touch you. Negativity can't touch you. Now think of it the other way. If you experience negativity and judgment and klipot in your life, it's because to that degree, you are not awakened, not connected to the light of mercy. What's the way to remove all judgments from your life? So simple. We teach this in Kabbalah 1. Share. Go out of your comfort zone and share. Sharing is not to be a nice person. Sharing is for you. By sharing, you awaken light of chasadim. You awaken light of mercy. You awaken protection that nothing else can protect you from. Then the Zohar continues, 78. Bow down, therefore, lech ami bo b'chadarecha, the verse that we're saying from Isaiah. Go, my people, enter your chambers. What are we talking about here? Asga gamach, go lock yourself inside, protect yourself within. Uskod latecha ba'decha, and close the door behind you, lock the door behind you. The light chazei kameid mechabla, to not be seen before the force of destruction, the angel of destruction. Chavi kimat rega ad yavo za'am. The end of the verse, sorry, it's not highlighted correctly. Hide yourself a little moment until the indignation passes, until the anger, until the judgment passes. What does that mean? Devata de ava dina leit because once the judgment, the time of judgment passes, the forces of destruction no longer have permission to destroy. Only when there's a decree on the world, then they can destroy anything they see. But once that time passes, um, you don't have to have that fear anymore. So, what does it mean to lock yourself in your house, to hide? It means don't take any light, don't draw any light, don't take anything from this world. Just connect to the light of chasadim, just connect to the light of mercy, because the negativity has no attachment to that. And that's why, especially during times of judgment, especially if we think about everything going on in the world, how do you awaken protection? It's just sharing, right? It's just light of chasadim, it's just love. 79, come and see. Because of the love the Creator had for the Israelites. The Creator brought them closer to Him. All the other nations hate the Israelites. Now, again, love and hate, reminding us, what does it mean the Creator loves the Israelites? It means because the Israelites are in affinity with the Creator because they represent the central column, desire to seek for the sake of sharing. They represent power of restriction. Therefore, they are in affinity with the Creator, which means love. What does hatred mean? Hatred means disaffinity, right? Those who are in disaffinity with restriction will hate those who live with restriction. Because the Creator's love, the Creator brings the Israelites closer. And by the way, I have a lot of questions about what the Zohar says. I wish Rav Ashlag explained more here, but he does a little more after. But because the Creator brings the Israelites closer, that causes hatred towards the Israelites because the Creator distances them, or they experience being far from the Creator while Israel is close. Again, we're not talking about countries. We're not talking about culture or religion. We have to remember, we're always talking about this consciousness. Because of the great love that Jacob had towards Joseph more than all the other brothers, and we said that love is caused by the similarity of form between them, Jacob being Tiferet, Yosef being Yesod, both being the central column of their level, Jacob being the central column between Chesed and Gevurah, Joseph being the central column between Netzach and Hod. Jacob had a deeper connection, a closer connection, more affinity and more love within him, more than the other brothers. Even though they were all his brothers, even though they were all tzaddikim, even though they were all great, and even though they were brothers, nevertheless, what happened? Maktiv, what does it say? They see Joseph walking up to them, and they conspire to kill him. For even more so are the nations of idolatry and negativity that if the brothers can hate Joseph, why wouldn't other nations hate Israel? Now here, Rav Ashlag here adds, this love that Jacob had for Joseph, more than all the other brothers, revealed the fourth level of judgment. That's why the Zohar is bringing all this in. What's the fourth level of judgment? Fourth level of judgment, like we said, is like when there's an angel of destruction has permission to destroy, like a plague, or when there's great judgment in the world. What you're supposed to do is you're supposed to conceal yourself. There's no protection from that judgment except for connecting to chasadim. So why did the brothers, we say, oh, they were jealous so they want to kill him? No, it's because this level of the fourth level of judgment was awakened, which is the secret of death. Why? Because it represents the level when all light leaves. It's just the pure judgment of the time of the Malchut, of the Nukva. That's the fourth level of judgment, and there's no protection from that. So that's why judgment was awakened upon Joseph, was because this fourth level of judgment was awakened. Paragraph 81. Come and see. See how much the love that he loves more than the brothers, that Jacob loved more than the brothers, that caused Joseph to be exiled from his father, which means to be separated, sold into slavery, father from distanced or separated from his father. And that also caused Jacob to also be exiled, right? Because whatever Joseph went through, Jacob went through. Whatever Jacob went through, Joseph went through. And we know, just as Joseph went to Egypt, eventually Jacob went to Egypt. V'gam lehogaluta, and caused him exile. Jacob left the land of Israel, which represents the connection to the light, into the land of Egypt, which represents disconnection from the light, aspect of judgment, of exile. And not only Joseph went into exile, Jacob went to exile, but also the Shekhinah, the light of the Creator, also went into exile. Even though that was already decreed from before, right? Rav Shimon reminds us when Abraham received the revelation of the Creator during what's called the Brit Ben Abetarim, the covenant between the pieces, whatever that translates as. There was Abraham had to do a certain type of ritual, whatever you might say, and the Creator revealed to him, and that's when the Creator revealed to Abraham, "You're going to be a father of many, a great nation. You're going to have many children, and then your children are also going to be sent into slavery." And they're going to be redeemed, right? So the 400 years of slavery that the Israelites eventually went through, that was revealed to Abraham. So that was already known that there was going to be that judgment and there was going to be that decree of exile. Nevertheless, we've explained that what caused the catalyst for the exile, even though it had to happen, but what manifested it was the multicolored coat that Jacob made for Joseph, because they saw it and that caused them to that they saw that their father loved Jacob more, Joseph more, and that caused them to hate him, and they couldn't have peace with him. So that's the end of this chapter. I know there's a lot of questions, but hopefully we'll answer more of them tomorrow, because tomorrow we're going to start to go into the dreams that Joseph had, and explaining this dynamic of what was really going on a deeper level. We'll stop here. We'll continue with paragraph 82 tomorrow. I know a lot of what we spoke about was complicated, and hopefully, we got all the energy that we needed to receive. But for me, the main message of what we got today was this power of chasadim, the power of mercy. When you're connected to the light of chasadim, when you're connected to the light of sharing, of mercy, you are untouchable. No negative forces can touch you, right? It's not about being a good person. It's really just a question of protecting yourself, right? Sharing is for you. It's not for the person you're sharing with. Kindness is for you. It's not the person you're being kind to. Love is for you. It's not the person that you're awakening love for. So let's all awaken that consciousness in ourselves, awaken more kindness, love, and the more love, right? The sharing and love that we reveal, it's not just for ourselves. It awakens the chasadim in the world. The more light and chasadim we reveal in the world, the less negativity any of the negative forces can cause in this world. Lots of love to everyone. Thank you for bearing with me in these kind of more complicated sections. Again, sorry it's not clear. Hopefully, maybe it's clear to you, but hopefully, that's the thing. If you ever tried to only study the Zohar and understand it, you never get anywhere, because anyway, what we think we understand, we also don't understand. So at least here we know we don't understand, which is a good thing, right? We think we understand certain sections. That's silly. Here, at least the Creator is, showing us even more that we don't understand. And that's actually probably more true. We probably are more sincere in our consciousness in the sections we don't understand than in the ones that we do understand. Lots of love, everyone. Have an amazing day full of light of mercy, light of chasadim. See you soon.